Tim, I'm beyond excited for two things. One, to have you on stage with us after this immense number of conversations that we've been having about AI, breaking the silos and things we do, and things that it enables us to do. And for the other thing is that Riyadh Air is now proudly part of the Contentsquare family. I know you pick proudly and you pick the best, which is why you picked us. Thank you for that. We are beyond excited, not just to be part of somebody's digital transformation journey, but also part of the digital fabric, the digital canvas that Riyadh Air is creating. And not only do we crawl or run or walk, but we fly. And we'll let our dreams fly, and we'll let the technology decide. And people like Tim are, in fact, responsible for the transformational potential of Riyadh Air. So Tim, before we crawl, run, or fly, let's start with you. What drew you to Riyadh Air, and what is it like to be part of the canvas of building the airline from ground up?
Thanks, Paula, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Masa al-khair. And what drew me to Riyadh Air was, well, I've never built an airline before. Has anybody here built an airline? No, isn't that cool? So that's 0% of the audience who built an airline before. And I've not been involved in aviation before. And it was such an exciting prospect that I felt I couldn't miss out on that. That's what fundamentally drew me here. But also what drew me here was the linkage between what Riyadh Air were trying to achieve and Vision 2030 for the Kingdom, which is such an ambitious vision. I wanted to be part of helping to deliver that. And if there's one thing I can respectfully correct you on, this isn't about digital transformation. This is about digital creation from day one. When Riyadh Air set out, employee number one was the wisest employee because he hired employee number two, who leads our digital technology and innovation practice. So right from the very beginning, as the company was born, it was born with digital in its heart.
That's an amazing answer. In fact, people are the ones who decide. Technology is just an enabler, and I'm super happy to hear that from the very beginning, this is the philosophy. Building something like Riyadh Air or anything from scratch is such an enormous challenge. What are the biggest surprises that you think came along the way? What was the moment when you said, we're actually onto something here, or what are we doing? What is happening?
There's a lot of days when we've all been doing, what are we doing?
Okay.
So the surprises along the way, for me as an outsider to aviation, is how complex it is. As a passenger, we've all experienced it, right? Book a ticket, turn up at the airport, check in, go to gate, maybe via a lounge if you're lucky, get on board the plane, sit down, do as you're told by the stewardesses, and fly. And sometime later, arrive where you want to be, and that's it. The level of complexity and the effort and the teamwork and collaboration that has to go into making all of those pieces of the jigsaw come together in one go and work seamlessly, that's probably the thing that struck me most as a newcomer to aviation. Now, as far as we've got something here moment, the one I'll pick is, I know that a few people have been saying, which part of the organization are you guys from? And some are from the technology part, some from the business part. And for me, data analytics and AI belong right where that point joins. We created what we're calling our command center, which is quite a modest room, but it's got a load of screens. Think of ground control for a spaceship. Clearly no spaceships here. Lots of screens that tell us what's going on, but it's not just about, is the technology up, is it working, all of those leading indicators good for us. It's also what are the business metrics that we're seeing live at the same time. And so we've brought together deliberately technology and business outcomes in one room. And the aha moment was when the business leaders joined us in that room. And they turn up daily because it's useful to them to understand, because they're so reliant on the enabling digital technologies and data and AI, it matters to them to know the what and the why things are working, where things aren't, and how we're going to fix it.
Absolutely, absolutely. The before and after component is extremely important because you're literally starting from grounds up. You're creating this digital canvas. In a competitive industry like aviation, what sets Riyadh Air apart besides the data and AI strategy?
Well, it's not just the data and AI strategy, but it's the fundamental way we've gone around the creating an airline. We were determined from the beginning not just to be any other airline, not just to be another copy of Etihad or British Airways or Qantas. We wanted to create an airline that right from the beginning solved all those friction points. Someone mentioned right at the beginning, friction, and having to solve friction. To solve all those friction points that have plagued airlines for ages. If you lift the curtain and look behind the scenes at all the airlines that you guys use routinely every month, every year, you'll see a bunch of technologies that are late 1990s and early 2000s, and those airlines are handcuffed to that old tech.
Yes.
It's baked in. We've said, no, we're not going to do that. We'll throw that away, and we'll do it in a modern way, so that you shop as you would with a retailer, and you have a shopping cart and a digital experience, and you check out when you're ready to check out. And multiple flights, multiple passengers, multiple events can all be in one cart, one order, you're done.
That's amazing. I believe that's probably the first time when somebody or industry general describes Riyadh Air as a travel retailer rather than an airline. How does that philosophy change the way the consumer would receive that experience compared to a traditional carrier?
Well, for us, the consumer will have a much more seamless experience, not just in the act of flying, on the day of travel, turning up at the airport and flying, as I mentioned earlier, but in all the build-up to that that's involved around, I'd like to make a booking. Well, we'll talk about an order, and we'll make an offer, and then there'll be an order. So offer and order, which is well known to e-tailers, that's brand new to the aviation industry. No one else is doing that. A lot of them are looking to see if we succeed. And that's a really motivating challenge for us. So the passenger, we don't talk about passengers or customers, we talk about guests. So our guests will join us, and our guest experience, GX is what we talk about, will join us a long way upstream of the actual travel event as part of our loyalty scheme, as part of a sense of belonging to a family, and they are a guest as part of our family, and we make that order experience for them as seamless and as modern as it can be.
And it's interesting, I think in one of the coffee breaks, as we spoke, you sort of beautifully combined the welcoming spirit of Saudi with the word hospitality. So it's not about technology per se, it's also about the human touch. The warmness, the welcoming spirit. How do you feel that could be incorporated properly into the technology and data canvas of the airline?
Well, first of all, it's not just incorporated in the technology, it's incorporated in everything we do. That guest centricity that we try to bring, that sense of afawah, of welcome, we take our responsibility to you, the travelling guest, really seriously. The vision of Riyadh Air is to connect the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to the globe. And that is a huge vision, and it's a responsibility we feel keenly, because it's part of Vision 2030, and it's so important that we get that right and reflect. Clearly I'm not a Saudi, but I really appreciate the Saudi national characteristic and value around Hafala. It matters. And it matters to us that every guest feels genuinely welcome, no matter how modest that guest might be in terms of their travel, or how important they are, whether they're a VVIP. The sense of Hafala should feel real to everyone. Now, clearly we have to make that also arrive and land in a digital way, so they get that sense of welcome and belonging in their digital interactions with us before the day of travel. And I think if there's one thing we can do, we as a company want to bring back that sense of romance around air travel. It's not just transactional, it's not just going to the lowest common denominator, think back to the 60s and the heyday of companies now no longer here, like Pan Am, who really understood the glamour of air travel. We're bringing back the glamour to air travel.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love to hear that. I cannot wait to experience that myself.
We can't wait to welcome you.
Absolutely. So thinking about that vision that you are yet to build and you're building already, what are the key investments in technology that you are thinking of? What do you think technology should look like that Riyadh Air would ultimately pay for to create that type of underlying experience for the customers?
So clearly it's digital first. We want this to be a digital first experience because more and more, and you've seen the charts today, that's how people engage. Digital first, multi-channel, to be utterly agnostic over channel. You should be able to interact with us through the channel that you prefer, and you should see continuity between channels. So you might start a conversation with an exploration on the web, and then you might shift to WhatsApp, or you might go on to X, and we should be able to follow that conversation and that interaction between multiple channels. And our investment there, clearly a lot of our investment, are all about really fundamental knowledge of our guests, understanding their experience, and being able to respond to that with genuine personalization, hyper-personalization of our offers that resonate with our guests, not ones that don't. I used to get bombarded with adverts when I lived in Dubai of which schools I should send my kids to in Dubai. My kids are 27 and 25. They'll tell me they're done with school. That's not personalization. That's like bombarding people with the same stuff. We never want to do that. We will only ever send out marketing that will matter and will resonate with our guests and therefore improves our chance of conversion and of delighting them.
I'm super happy that you're talking about elevating the standards of personalization to a completely new level, to a completely new position where you wouldn't be just using engagement tools as they are, you would be redesigning and changing the way the customer is approached by the airline from the ground up. There is no expectation, there's just a very, very high demand. I'm really, really curious to ask you, because half of the event was dedicated to Agentic AI, and we've heard about Agentic AI in a lot of the discussions. How is Riyadh Air thinking about AI strategically, and what role do agents play in delivering the kind of experience your airline is building?
There's two parts to our strategy. The first is internally facing with our employees and our colleagues, and I call that our everyday AI strategy, where we're seeking to lift the floor on productivity and efficiency and effectiveness. Again, addressing those frictions. What's the most common question that an employee asks? How much leave have I got left? What's the next thing you should sensibly do? Offer them choices for leave that deconflict with their other team members. Well, you can do that with Agentic, and you can set the agent up to say, so the question is conversationally, hey, I'd like to take some leave, please. And the agent says, sure, the best time to take leave next month is in the following bracket. I'm ready to book that for you. Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Now, that's an action that gets taken. That's genuine Agentic. It's not just the information, which is the assistant part. That's everyday AI. The same with analytics. And we saw a great demonstration from today from Sebastian when he was speaking about the Sense product. Interpret this graph for me, interpret these numbers for me. I don't get them. Okay, everyday AI, let's help with that. Now, we've built our own. We've done that with Copilot because we're a Microsoft house, and I know that JC came from that world, so I'm happy to advertise it with the first adopters of Fabric in this kingdom. So that's everyday AI, but the real prize in our strategic AI is around adopting Agentic. So I'll spend just a little while, if I may, talking about that. The logic here is multi-channel, as I've mentioned, the channel of interaction that any guest wants, or any employee wants as well. Then a central brain, so that's many to one central brain that does two things. It does great cognitive understanding, so it's really good at conversations. It understands nuance, it understands intent, it understands context. It learns to understand the individual it's dealing with. And then alongside that understanding is really strong orchestration that says, okay, I get the problem. I understand what's trying to be solved here. It's a change of booking, it's add more seats. it's books of leave, if it's an internal use case. And I'm now going to direct us to the best AI model or models to achieve that. Oh, sure, and I'll include in that in whatever language we want to interact with. Over time, we'll build out more languages. And so the logic is you have this growing ecosystem of models that are really strong, and of agents that are strong at doing the thing they do. So that many to one to many model is our strategic approach. Let's not forget the and back again to the guest, to the human being that's interacting here. And when we look at crawl, walk, run that was described so well in the previous presentation, we started thinking about this as a problem that was crawling and walking.
Yeah.
We're already running. We've already built our first 100 agents. We're already delivering those in our architecture that allows us to take action, not just provide information.
Tim, this is outstanding that every time you spoke about the complexity of the technology and how much the airline is doing, you would look back at the customer. Oh, is he happy? Are we doing it for the right reasons? Are we still in line with the strategy, with the mission, right? This is amazing that you always incorporate the vision and put the customer in the center of all of that ecosystem of technologies out there.
Our guest matters to us. We want her to be happy.
Yeah.
It's really important. You can't get away from that if you want to be a successful business that wants to grow a sense of belonging and a sense of loyalty, and that all impacts the great metrics around guest retention and guest lifetime value. And when you take that medium to long-term view, you can afford to make those decisions that mean that we get this right now and we continue to work at getting it right.
Absolutely. Last question, Francie, and I promise. Looking back at the beginning of you building this entire architecture, if you could share one lesson that you've learned that has helped you tackle the challenges in building a new airline with the audience.
I think it's the enduring lesson that we all risk missing every day. It's about people.
Yeah.
It's not about technology or data or analytics or AI, although of course those are all ingredients that are important. Fundamentally, it's about people. It's about our guests, the people who will enable us to have a successful business. It's, as a data and AI leader, it's around my stakeholders and the relationships I have with those inside the business and the vendors that I use who come to partner with us and help us. And it's around my team and the ability to help them move blockers out of the way, guide and mentor them. These are all very human activities. You can, of course, use AI to improve on all of those, should you choose to, but fundamentally, never lose track of the sight. My lesson is that there are human beings involved in this equation, and we can't all get programmed to learn Kung Fu in 10 hours.
Tim, thank you so much for your outstanding energy, for your vision, and for being part of something exciting as that. And thank you massively for the trust you've yielded in Contentsquare.
Our fun. It's our pleasure to work together.
Thank you.